Hello, everybody. You're on the mic. And today I'm going to take a slight little break from the voice profiles I've been doing because we do have a little bit of news coming out of the Vic Mignogna situation in terms of his appeals. So it came out yesterday. So the big thing is no oral arguments. Okay. They did set a date for for ruling, which it will be on September 22nd of this year, which is exactly 2 months from now, as reported, of course, by Come Geek Some and Nick Rekieta. So here are basically some of the main takeaways from what came down the other day on Monday from the ruling um, on Monday. Basically, in the order, they basically said that the sides can submit their briefs, submit a copy of their briefs to the panel. And so basically, it's scheduled to be reviewed by a three-judge panel headed by Texas Supreme Court Chief Justice Jesse Sudduth. And there's some interesting scenarios there, and I'll get to in a moment. The review will take place on September, as I said, September 22nd, exactly 2 months from now. So we're just going to be sitting back and waiting. So here are some takeaways that we got from the order. First off, there were basically, even though both sides had asked for oral arguments, there will be no oral arguments. There will be no oral arguments. Now with that, um, Nick had surmised that it's likely, there's a couple of reasons probably for that. One, the most likely situation is the judges have already pretty much decided how they're going to rule. That's basically the big takeaway from that. Why they won't get in, like, so any further oral arguments would be counterproductive. Judges have already made up their more or less, and probably made up their minds, or at least made up their minds that they're just going to simply go on what has been presented. Um, Another thing we learned from Nick was that the case that had been cited by both sides, Van der Linden versus Kahn, was the opinion for that case was actually written by Chief Justice Suddoth, which basically means what it's going to come down to is which side had the better interpretation of his opinion. You know what? That might be what it comes down to. Even though you do have the other two judges there, um, who also weigh in. But Jesse Sudduth was apparently the one who wrote the opinion on Van der Linden versus Kahn. So it could come down very much to being who interpreted his opinion better. In this particular case, it may mean that he may have to clarify his opinion as well. But as Nick had warned us even last night, or even a couple of nights ago when he talked about it, was that nothing for sure here. No matter what the ruling is, nothing's for the only thing that is okay. So here's basically what it comes down to. If Vic wins the appeal, if basically they agree with Ty's reasoning and his interpretation of the opinion, that means the case moves forward and Vic continues to try to recoup his damages. Okay, if they side with Lemoyne's reasoning and the defendants in this case, or the appellees in this case, then it means that what they're saying is that Vic did not supposedly put enough evidence forward supporting his claims. So that's what it doesn't mean. If Vic loses, doesn't mean it is not a criminal case. It's a civil case. It's a defamation case. It's not a criminal case. So even if Vic loses, that doesn't mean that he's what they want us to believe him to be. Okay? So let's make sure we understand that. What the defamation suit was about was for Vic to recoup the damages to his reputation caused by what they were saying on social media. Now I know some people might say what I'm about to say here might sound a little controversial, but it's something that, and I know chances are the judges are not going to be watching my. I'm just some little YouTuber. I'm just some beginning little YouTuber. Okay, so I don't expect the judges to, because Nick had often said that appeals judges are very reticent about the idea of overturning a lower court's ruling unless they find sufficient reason for doing so. So so we can't get our hopes too high, we can't get our hopes too low. But if I did have a chance to say one thing to the appeals judges in their deliberations, this is what I would say. Please be wise in your decision making process and consider the ramifications of the decision that you may lay down in this case. Because the risk you run with the precedent that you set if you rule against Vic in this case is that you make it easier for people to lose due process. You make it easier for people to just simply be convicted on accusations with no actual proof. Okay? Or very weak circumstantial proof. That is what I would say. I would say yes, you may not like the idea of overturning a lower court's decision, but I would again ask in the name of justice for everybody that you take into consideration the possible precedent that you set and what that precedent could mean on our society as a whole, and what that could do to the justice system if you rule against Vic. That is what I would say. Okay? I ask that you please be wise and really take to heart and consideration the precedent that you could possibly set here. Because as the old saying goes, they came for the Jews, I did not speak up. They came for the blacks, I did not speak up. They came for the gays, and I did not speak up. Then they came for me. There was no one else. There was no one to speak for me. You know, take into consideration the precedent that you set and the possible damage of allowing cancel culture to rule the day. Because if you open Pandora's box there, eventually it could very well come and bite you right in the rear end. I'm just asking you to take that into consideration. So that's probably all I can really say on that. As a layman, I'm no lawyer, obviously. I can't give odds or anything like that on what the judges are going to be thinking. I just hope that they do take that particular point into consideration. But with that, let's move on to some other news. Today being July the 22nd, let's look back on this date in Nietzsche history. Of course, the first thing I would like to do is I'd like to wish a couple of happy birthdays here. First off, I'd like to wish Alan Menken, one of probably Disney's best known composer, a happy 71st birthday. He's worked on the music for such movies as The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and Beauty and the Beast. I'd like to wish him a happy birthday. I would also like to wish Madison Pettis a happy 22nd birthday, the actress known best for voicing the role of Addison Sweetwater on Phineas and Ferb. So I'd like to wish both Alan Menken and Madison Pettis happy birthdays. I hope that they have a good day today. Um, Now, moving on a little bit here. On this day in 2000, at both ends of the country, a pair of hardcore wrestling promotions were holding events on this day in 2000, 20 years ago today. Um, First off, in Sewell, New Jersey, Combat Zone Wrestling was holding its No Rules, No Limits event on this day in 2000. In the main event, you saw Justice Payne defeating Zandig for the Combat Zone Wrestling heavyweight title match. Also on the undercard, a couple big matches on the undercard. Um, Nick Gage defeating White Beater for the CZW Ironman title in a CZW Ironman Fans Bring the Weapons match. And then also on the card, you saw the Backseat Boys, consisting of Trent Acid and Johnny Cashmere, retaining the CZW Tag Team title over Rick Blade and Nick Mondo. So those are some of the big feature matches on that event. So on this date on the East Coast in Sewell, New Jersey, CZW's No Rules, No Limits event was taking place. And also on the West Coast, out here in LA at the LA Sports Arena, Extreme Pro Wrestling was holding its Go Funk Yourself event. In the main event, of course, you saw Sabu led to the ring by Josh Lazy, um, retaining the XPW World Heavyweight title over Terry Funk, coming to the ring by Rob Black, the leader of Black's Army. Also on the undercard, some of the big matches on the undercard include Supreme with Christy Mist in his corner, retaining the XPW King of the Death matches title over the Messiah, with Lizzie Borden in his corner. Also on the undercard, Kid Chaos wrestled twice in one night. Um, First off, defeating Steve Rosano in a I Quit match, and then defeating Tracy Smothers in a loser leads XPW match. Um, so Kid Chaos went 2-0 that night. Also on the card, of course, you saw a three-way dance between White Trash, Johnny Webb, Homeless Jimmy, and John Cronus, in which White Trash Johnny Webb won the match. So those are some of the big matches on that card. So on this date in 2000, on either end of the country, you had CZW's No Rules, No Limit, and then you had XPW's Go Funk Yourself going on. And on this on this date in 2009, 11 years ago today, um, the last issue of 100 Bullet series went on to newsstands on this date. published by DC Comics on its imprint, on its Vertigo imprint. On this date in 2009, 100 Bullets Crime Line Sampler Flip Book number 1 was was um, was released on this date. The last issue of the 100 Bullets series, reprinted from 100 Bullets number 1 from back in 1999. So, on this date, the last issue of 100 Bullets series went on to newsstands. And on this date in 2010, um, the the Japanese 4-panel comic strip manga, Engaged to the Unidentified, known in Japan as Mikakunin de Shinkokai, or in English translated as Engaged to the Unidentified. On this date in 2010, they released the first of 7 um, Tonkodon volumes on this date in 2010. So on this date in 2010, the Japanese manga Engaged to the Unidentified was released. The first of 7 Tonkodon volumes was released on this date, as well as another release that happened on this date was the Fate Zero video game. The Fate Zero video game was released by PlayStation. Um, was released in Japan on this date in 2010 as well. So, those were the two things going on there. Okay, so with all that being said, if you guys would like to contact me directly, you can direct message me on my Discord. My Discord link, of course, is down in the links below. Um, if you would, would like to check out the Discord link and join, you're more than welcome to. I'm still promoting a bunch of different dub companies. There's always a lot of work out there to take in. Um, and also, I'm still, of course, promoting Vic's GoFundMe. As always, guys, never feel like you have to donate. If it's on your heart to do so and you have the means to do so, please consider donating. If you've already donated, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, you can still help out the cause by sharing. Caring, you never know. Maybe somebody in your circle of friends may want to help out. Doesn't hurt to ask, after all. And and of course, if you like this content, I please ask that you like, comment, share, and subscribe. I always look forward to the conversation with you guys. As long as it's civil and respectful. And don't forget, on Friday, here's my next VA profile premiere, in which I will be focusing on Canadian-born LA-based voice actress Sharazani, known for her work on Inuyasha as Yura the Hare, as well as the Infant and Hakudoshi. Um, also, my next My next trial stream will be this Sunday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 Eastern. I hope to see you all there. Hope to see you guys at the premiere. I will, and until tomorrow, bye.